This is the first coat I ever made. And even though it has tons of flaws, which we're gonna be getting into, I still am very proud of it. I believe I made this in the autumn or winter of 2020. I added embroidery to the cuffs, to the little belted section at the back, to the collar, and to the entire hem. The whole process of making this coat, like around 40 hours. I did all of the embroidery before I stitched the coat together. I think what I would have done differently today is for the smaller pieces, I would have cut it bigger than I needed it to be, then added the embroidery so that it went into the seam allowances, then I would have cut it to the right size and stitched it together. The only one where I added the embroidery after sewing it together was the panels for the actual coat. Two things about the embroidery I wouldn't have done today. One of them is adding the beads. The other is I wouldn't have added all of these French knots because they're like 3D. They more easily will get caught and more easily will come undone. You can see that this facing wants to roll out, so I would have added understitching because I really didn't want to add top stitching here, but I don't think I knew how to understitch when I made this. The other place I would have added understitching is the pockets, again for the same reason. And I also wish I'd anchored the pockets because if I put anything in my pockets, it just warps the shape of the coat and I don't really like that. Honestly, I think the lining was a great choice. I love the buttons. I think the buttons are a really fun pop of color. These seams of this like decorative cuff, they do not line up on either side. Probably a couple of factors went into that, like clumsiness and like not really knowing how to handle fabric all that well, but also probably the embroidery because embroidery does tend to warp your fabric a little bit. The stand of the collar has a giant tuck on both sides because I had too much fabric. My best guess is that I sewed this on upside down. When I'm wearing it, you can't see it. I think the way I did it on both sides, if you didn't know, you could almost think that this was intentional. Where the side seams of the body of the coat meet the collar, I don't think I backstitched at all. So what ended up happening was that those seams were not very strong and they started coming apart. So there are places where you can see I've already mended them. They are pretty strong now and they never came apart again. Another thing that I wish I'd done differently is used some thread that matches better because there are a few spots where you can see that I used white thread. I don't think it's the worst thing ever and I don't think anybody would ever notice, but it annoys me. Everything else went pretty smoothly. So this was maybe 1 year into my clothes sewing experience. And you know what? Even though it has some flaws, I absolutely adore this coat. I wear it very often. I am going to keep wearing it and keep loving it for a very long time. I encourage you to keep learning, keep challenging yourself because sewing is such a rewarding and fun hobby. It teaches you such valuable life skills. So keep at it.